Hello, happy Tuesday. It is pouring rain out right now, even though yesterday was like 65 and beautiful, which up here in Massachusetts, 65 in April is like summertime, bring on the sun. So this week it is the Tuesday before April vacation, which is very exciting. So we have 4 more days until we go on vacation. This year my family is going on a cruise for our April vacation, so that's going to be a lot of fun. So this week I just thought I'd pop in for a couple days and just kind of share what activities we are up to for this week and just some fun things. I think it'll be a quick video, but I just wanted to do a little pop in. I also wanted to give a quick little update on what I am reading and what I am watching right now. In terms of what I am reading, I just started Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I love her other books. This is what it looks like right here, and it sounds very, very cute so far. I think it'll fill the need of exactly what I'm looking for. We also have a book club book called The Fisherman that I need to read. Actually, I need to read within the next 2 weeks or so. That I have not started because I'm not like super thrilled about the plot, at least what I read. And I just thought this would be like an easier get back into reading type of book. So I'm reading and enjoying this right now. In terms of what I'm watching, all of my favorite shows ended. Severance is over. White Lotus is over. All the Housewives are over. I watch all those silly shows, especially on the weekends when I'm doing my plans. But Black Mirror did just come out. So I watched a few episodes of that, which is fun. My husband and I watched that. But again, I'm always looking for new shows and recommendations. So let me know down in the comments what you're liking to watch, because I love a good show. I love getting under my heated electric blanket and getting all cozied up and watching some good old TV at the end of the day. That's what I like to do. In between, all the basketball practices and soccer practices and all the other stuff. That is my favorite way to kind of decompress. So I'm going to pop into school, and then I think I'm just going to pull up my plans and kind of walk through some of the slides and share a few activities, and then I'm also going to pop in tomorrow. So let me get inside and let's do this. All right, so I was just looking over my plans for the week. I think today I'll talk a little bit about what we're doing in writing currently, and then I will share something fun that our digital learning specialist is doing with us. So yeah, we started last week in writing. We're not doing the HMH into reading. We're not doing that writing, because what we realized as we decided to adopt the pilot and choose this for next year is we really took a look at the scope and sequence, and we had to make sure that we were teaching all the standards and had everything set up, since we piloted another program at the beginning of the year. And what we noticed, and I think this is really funky, I don't know if I brought this up here before, so I apologize if I have, but we noticed that HMH does not teach opinion writing until like the last 2 units of the year. And that might be fine if you're thinking, oh, that's the end of the year, except they really do. I think it's units like module 12 and 13 or 13 and 14. And the way it was posed to us was that the core units are like 1 through 11, or maybe it's 1 through 10 and it's 11 and 12, whatever it is. They're like in the bonus unit, or like the if you have more time units, or if you have an extended year units. But it was posed that like most teachers don't get to those, or they don't really market it that way. So then that's an entire writing standard that we would not be teaching. So we were looking into how they teach opinion writing. We were just going to kind of bump it up and move it into a different module, because the writing and reading don't necessarily go hand in hand. So that doesn't matter. You can kind of easily replace one. And then we were like, well, the rest of our team already just taught with my opinion writing slides, and that's just an easy 3-week unit. So we're going to do that instead. So that's why we're teaching opinion writing now. And that's why we're also not doing the HMH writing. So it's a little funky. But I think I explained last week, we are starting opinion. And so last week they learned what an opinion is, how it differs from a fact, and then they really got to read some passages and decipher facts from opinions, and then form their own facts and opinions about topics. So we watched a couple of videos, we would read a book, and then everybody had to share and write a fact about that topic and an opinion about that topic. And that just lets me quickly get a baseline of who understands what an opinion is, and also, get them writing. So this week, we're going to start the writing process. Yesterday, we started brainstorming, and then today we are going to add reasons to the opinions that we brainstormed. So let me show you. Okay, so we will brainstorm different opinions that we have. This was yesterday. We review a fact and opinion. I always go over the writing process and where we are, and I always explain how this is the beginning of us, starting our very own book. And then it just says, I can think of many different opinions I have to write about. I can write about the best book. I think that best book is Mercy Watson. So we kind of have 4 different categories here, and I just model filling in different types of opinions. So the best blank is, and I have everybody write book here, and then they say what their best book is, and we write it here up at the top. And then it says, I think blank is better than blank, so we do a comparison. Something I love, and then something I don't like, because we've talked about positive, negative opinions, and we've kind of talked about these different types of opinions before. So after I model it, students come up to their seats and they have to come up with 4 different opinions. Now I had put 10 minutes here. Really, this took about 5 minutes, and then I just kind of had students pause, and then I had them come back to the rug, and then we would share our reasons for each of those. So they do not write anything in the 1 and 2. They just write it kind of small up here. So going forward, we're going to add reasons to support our opinions. So we review what we did yesterday, and then we always read the story Red is Best, and we listen for different reasons why she thinks red is best. And then here's just some examples. The best book is Mercy Watson. I think chocolate is better than vanilla. I love going to Maine. I don't like the winter. And then I model giving some reasons. I think the best book is Mercy Watson. It is funny. And I like one of the characters. I forget whose name it was. Why I like going to Maine. I give 2 reasons. Why I don't like winter. I give 2 reasons, and so on. So then they're challenged to go back to their seats, take this back out, or actually we just left it on our desk, and then they had to go ahead and write down the 2 reasons to support each of their opinions. So once they have that kind of brainstormed sheet with their reasons and everything, it makes our process a lot easier. The next step is going to be students are going to pick one of those opinions to create their own opinion booklet. And then they're going to write their 2 reasons down. We're going to add some sentences to it. We're going to stretch it out. We're going to do a catchy opening, a closing, add a cover to the book, and we will be on our way with our own opinion writing. This is from my opinion writing unit. I have all the slides. It's a brand new unit that I uploaded to TPT, so I will link it down below. But that is what we are doing currently in writing. And we will have this finished before the end of the week. So we're moving quickly with it. But at this point in the year, I think I mentioned this before, it doesn't really matter which genre you're teaching. They're so much better at their writing by now that they can really kind of work through the process a lot quicker. And then I definitely will, at the end of the year, have them do some review writing with narratives, with informative pieces, and with opinions anyway. And we also do that throughout WIN and during other times. So I can always check in and see kind of how they're doing with all those genres. Last thing I want to show you is Book Creator. So my digital learning specialist came to me, and we are starting our big project-based learning project once we get back from April vacation. And if you followed last year, my students basically pick an animal, they research all about it. We actually end up going to the zoo here in Boston, and they get to see their animals. So we pick purposely which animals they will get to research so they can see their animal at the zoo. They're actually in art going to create a whole habitat for their animal, and they're going to create little clay models. It's a really fun project. So Book Creator is an app that that our DLS here taught me about, and she came in and did 2 intro lessons for students. So everybody already picked their animal just so they would be ready for it. And then she showed them how to make a cover page. And with that, they could kind of add different colors to the background. They could insert images of their animal. They could change the fonts and make it look all fun. So I'm gonna open it up on my computer just so you can see what it looks like, because I can't show you on the kids. They all have their names on them, but it works the same. So let me just show you. All right, so Book Creator is actually entirely free. I think you can create 3 books. But for each book, you can invite your whole class. So the class gets to make a book. So this is our first book. And then you just show the little invite code, and we had this up on the smartboard, and all students were just sitting at their seats and they were kind of following along. So we would show them how to do something, and then they would do it themselves on their board. So the book would just start off plain like this. And then when they go into it and they actually edit it, we would show them how it works. So we can go to the eye. And this, we showed them how to change colors, how to add your own color and move it kind of along the hex, make it lighter, make it darker, press apply, change it up. She started with colors. Then she went down here and showed them different comic backgrounds. You know, the kids thought this was very, very fun. We have different textures and patterns that they could add. Depending on their animal, they might have had different ideas of what they would want to do. So then they went ahead and picked a background. So let me go back to the library. I'll show you this one. So monkey was the example that the teacher did. And then, so they showed them how to add text. So we would go here, press text, we would make a text box, we would add it in. We got to show them, you know, how to use the capital on the iPads, how to reformat everything, how to type our names and make sure there were spaces. So there's a lot of digital learning here as well, and also how to resize these images. And then when you go here, we would search Google and we could find the image that we wanted and add it to our front cover. So every single student has their own digital book right now that they're going to make along with their paper book. So it's just a fun little extension that we have for their learning. So I'm going to make sure like the main bulk of what they're learning and writing is going to be written down, handwritten in their factfolio is what we call it, but their research book. But then I'm going to have them during win stations, during our writing part, I'm going to have them go into Book Creator and they can add pictures. Like when we learn about the habitat, they'll write the word habitat at the top of a page and insert some pictures. And maybe they'll write like 1 or 2 labels. I'm not gonna have them type up the whole thing. That becomes pretty laborious for them, but just getting them used to this program is just another fun way for them to share what they're learning. And they were very, very engaged, very excited. So yeah, that is what I'm gonna share today. Tomorrow, I will go ahead and talk about what we're doing in math and phonics. And then I think we'll be on our way to April vacation. So I'll see you in a bit.
What can I get for you?
Hi, can I get a grande iced caramel macchiato with an extra shot of espresso and soy milk? Could I also do a spinach feta wrap?
Yep.
And a, do you have the lunch box, like the protein box with eggs?
Have a good one.
Thank you, you too.
Yeah.
Good morning, happy Wednesday. Yesterday I shared with you just a little bit about what we are doing with our opinion writing and heading into brainstorming ideas, and then we're gonna come up with reasons. And then I also shared what our digital learning specialist is doing with Book Creator, which is so much fun and the kids are super into it, which is exciting. Today I thought I would go over a little bit about what we are doing in phonics and what we are doing in math, just to give you a quick little update and kind of catch us all up. What is nice about the end of this week is that when we head into April vacation, we are going to be wrapping up both this math unit, which is a very quick one on data and graphing. We will be wrapping up, this is week 3 of foundations, and we'll really be wrapping up some of our opinion writing as we dive into a new unit for HMH next, the week after when we get back. So because I had the digital learning specialist come during our reading time on Monday and Tuesday of this week, I actually went ahead and we took a week off of doing our HMH into reading curriculum. We were taking some time off from the writing portion of it anyway because we were doing the opinion writing to make sure our students had it before the end of the year. And then, so instead of starting a new unit, Unit 8 it would be for us, instead of diving into that module for 1 week and then taking a week off, it was nice to just do a few read alouds during this time so I can share what that looks like too before we head into the break. And then when we come back the week after April vacation, we will be starting brand new with all new topics. So I kind of like ending it out that way, which works out. To kick it off with what we're learning in phonics, I've already mentioned before, but we are working on Unit 10 in Foundations, which is words with 5 sounds, and then we're actually adding the suffixes ed and ing to these words. So we're just making our words longer and more complex. So with our foundation slides, we always start with the sound review, and then these are all the vowel teams we have learned so far. We go through our quick heart word drill, and then we actually learned yesterday a new sound ah, so AU like August and AW like saw. And whenever we learn it, we always practice blending a few words with those sounds in them. They had a word of the day yesterday, which happened to be blending. Can they use blending in a sentence? And they added it to their journal. And then I had a IEP meeting yesterday morning. So while I was there, instead of, there were a couple other things that we were supposed to do, but instead of having the sub do it, I just had them fill out this quick worksheet with the ah sounds that we just went over. So they had to just read the word and then find the matching picture and write it on the line. So I'll go over what we are doing today too, just so you can see. But I wanted to show you this fun movement break. So every day after phonics, we do a little movement break that takes about 2 to 3 minutes. We've been doing Danny Go a lot and my students love it. But this is something one of my colleagues found. It's called, I think it's called music mapping, or they're called tracing maps. So instead of getting up and kind of dancing around, what students will do is they'll put their finger in the air and they will have to trace what's happening along with the music. So let me show you so you know what I'm talking about. So this one is to Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy, Chofsky. So as it's doing this, their finger is in the air tracing it. Dun, 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 dun. It is a really fun one, and I like it because it's not, not every day do we need kids up and dancing and moving around. Some days we do. Some days this, they still have to tune in their body and their mind to what's happening and take a little break. And it's really fun for them to try to keep up with it. It's also hard for me to do. You can definitely do it with them just doing their fingers in the air. That's what we've been doing. Sometimes I'll have them do their fingers on the desk. I did say we might try to get like a whiteboard and marker and try to follow it, but I actually think that would be too hard because they'd have to be looking down and up, so I don't think that would work. So just finger in the air or finger on their desk or kind of like on their leg as they're watching to try to trace those shapes. But just another fun little brain break that, like I said, one of my teammates shared with me that I thought I would share with you. I'll go ahead and link the channel that I found those on down below. All right, for today, we're going to start with our review, of course. For all of our sounds, we've added AU and AW since we learned it yesterday. We will go ahead and blend the base word together and then add ED or ING, melted, mixed, kick-ing, spilled, helping, and paying. So we'll do that. Our word of the day is planted. We kind of discuss the word, all the word parts, what it means. We use it in a sentence and add to our journal. And then we're going to learn 3 new heart words. We have out, about, and our. So these ones use our OU, which students have learned before. And then they need to read a sentence or two. I am about to go out to play. Mrs. Jones is our teacher. And then they will always practice writing it. So when we do this, I'll say the word first, out. We tap it, out. 2 sounds, and they have this visual on the board, and then they are writing it on their whiteboards. Out, and then we have a, b, out, about, and our. So they write all 3 on their whiteboards while I check it, and then they add those to their journals as well. And then today we're going to practice a little dictation with some of these words with adding ED and ING. And then we're back to a Danny Go break for today. Tomorrow we're going to be doing something similar, except we're going to do some sentence scrambles where they're using some of these words, heart words that they've learned, as well as some of the skill words. And they're going to be using those to do a little sentence scrambles and practice their sentence syntax, which will be great. And then on Friday, we're going to do our Show What We Know, our little assessment to see how they do. Most of the words that they're going to be spelling will just have 5 sounds, but they will definitely be practicing adding ED and ING to some of those as well. On the first day, since I didn't share it, of teaching of teaching ED, I do teach the 3 different sounds that it makes. I do explain why. If we have a voice sound or not. I have a whole slide for that. I actually have a whole freebie that has a lot of this information for the sounds of ED. It looks like this, and I can link it down below. I kind of infuse those slides with the foundations ones. And then in the actual foundation slides that I had created, I do share all that information too, just to go over it with students, like when each of the sounds ED makes that specific sound and why. Just to give students that knowledge so they understand. But yeah, so that is kind of it for phonics. And when we come back, we will actually be diving into our multisyllabic word unit. So we start with compound words, and then it will be 2-syllable words with closed syllables. And then we go into 2-syllable words. Maybe one is closed, one's open, one's closed, maybe one is VCE syllable. So we're really going into that heavier work, which is exciting as they go off to 2nd grade. But that is what we are doing in phonics. Let me share what we're doing in math. In math, we are doing our data and graphing unit. This is a quick unit. It's really just 5 days long. And I really just want students to be able to collect data and show it on a picture graph for the beginning. And then we also are, of course, going to analyze this data as well. So answer questions about it. These are just from my data and graphing warm-up, so we do one of these each day. Yesterday we made a tally chart with the data that was shown, so I asked my students how can they take this data right here and turn it into a bar graph. And then I also asked them a few questions about it once we filled out the bar graph, and then I asked them what they think the title of this graph should be. What would somebody be asking to get all this data? So my answer would be, how do you get to school in the morning? Because we have a school bus, bike, and cars. That could be a good answer. Then we will go through just the slides. These are from our Math in Focus that we've created to go along with them. So we're taking a look over here at the graph, and we are looking at the data and answering questions about it. We'll try to answer some questions together, and then students will each get a bag with a bunch of different cubes. This is from my hands-on data and graphing unit, and with a partner, they'll each get their own sheet, but with a partner, they will get the same bag, and they'll have to sort the cubes by color, stack them up, and then create the bar graph to show their data. And then they have to answer questions about it. So just this fun little activity. And then we have some practice pages that they are going to try together. They're mostly going to do this on their own, but I'm definitely going to read it all for them. And then they can go to IXL or Math Fact Lab after. Yesterday, we basically did the same thing where we're looking at different graphs. We are collecting the data, we are analyzing the data. And yesterday, we also played a game called Spin and Graph, which is from my print and play data games. So I just wanted to show you quickly what that is. It's an easy one. I have roll and graph and I have spin and graph, where students are kind of collecting the data along the way and graphing it, and then they have to answer questions about it at the end. So just fun little hands-on activities like that. But let me show you what this one looks like. This was just the picture of the board. And so basically they are going to spin 20 times, so 10 times each with their partner. And every time they land on one of these symbols, they just graph it. So we teach them how to graph it, starting at the bottom and going up, and then they will answer the questions. I, of course, made this in 2017, and there's another graph called roll and graph that's very similar, and I never changed the words roll. And nobody ever told me in almost 10 years. So that's something I'm gonna go edit and change. I realized yesterday as we were playing together. So I made a little note and I'm gonna edit that. If you ever see any little errors in my products, please always just let me know so I can change them real quick and re-upload for you. But yeah, bunches of little games like this for the week. Another fun thing I really like to do during the data and graphing unit is have students come up with their own survey questions. And basically they come up with a survey question that has a few different answers, and then they'll just go around and they, ask everybody in the class what their answer is. They make a tally chart, and then after they've collected the data, they get to go back to their seats, put it into a bar graph, and then answer some questions about it, and then they all kind of present it to the class. So that's just a really fun way to culminate the whole, project and the whole unit, making sure they understand how they go around and collect that data, using a tally chart to do so, and then taking that information, putting it into a bar graph, and then answering questions about it. So that's something fun that I will probably do on Friday is my guess, because Friday, the assessment that we're doing for this unit is very short. It's just a couple different bar graphs and students have to answer questions about it. Or I think one is data that they have to put into a bar graph, and then they'll call it a day. So that will be a very fast assessment. It'll probably only take 10 minutes maximum. So for the rest of the block, I'm going to have them do that type of fun activity. But yeah, it's a nice, easy, fun one. Like I said, we're wrapping it up before we go off to vacation, which is very nice. All right, that's really all we are up to right now. Anything I mentioned or talked about here, I will, of course, link down below in the description. So grab those links, or of course, if I forget anything, please just let me know and I will try to find it for you. Any questions, comments, concerns, let me know down below. As always, I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up so I know. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel and click that bell. That way you're notified of every new video. See you in the next one. Bye.